Hey animal lovers, welcome to this YouTube channel on communication and social life of parrots. Parrots are a subgroup of birds and are thought to be some of the smartest animals of our planet. They have great cognitive capabilities, and in terms of intelligence, as we currently define it, they compare to 6 to 8-year-old human children. They are incredibly beautiful and come in beautiful, plentiful colors. Most of the almost 400 parrot species have rich social lives. Parrots are social animals, which means their brains are wired for living in groups, just like our human brains are too. Their abilities in terms of imitating human language and singing make them famous pets. On this YouTube channel, we will investigate the interactions among the members of a small group of red-lored Amazon parrots. This species naturally occurs from Central America to South America in a variety of habitats. There are 3 girls. There's Steffi, she's 3 years old. There are Pippi and Jenny, 1 year old. And there's one boy, Danny, he's 2 years old. And he often has more important things to do than sitting with the girls. All 4 of them have been castrated. And just in case you wonder why Jenny and Pippi are yellow while Steffi and Danny are green, Jenny and Pippi have a mutation in their genome, so that they lack almost all blue pigments. Thus, they are not green, they are yellow. And Steffi and Danny have their natural green color as a result of mixing yellow and blue pigments. I should also briefly introduce myself. I have grown up and shared most of my life with parrots. My dad adopted the first macaw into our family when I was 4 years old. Since then, I met dozens of Amazon parrots, macaws, parakeets, and other birds, had the chance to get to know them, helped breeding them, and raised several of their babies. I became a biologist with a Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and PhD degree. Okay, let's meet the protagonists. 3 years ago, I met Steffi. She was only about 3 months old and somehow in need for someone to take care of her. I fell for Steffi at first sight. She became a companion. However, sharing my life with Steffi changed almost everything for me. I was trying my best to fulfill her social needs, to find interesting, intellectually challenging toys and tasks for Steffi, to work out a healthy diet for her, which was a big challenge, to teach her interesting things, rules, engage in a finely tuned bond. I guess I spoiled her quite a bit during our first year, as it took me some time to realize to what extent she was trying to and accomplished to manipulate me, so I would do things for her just like she wanted. By now, Steffi turned out to be a princess. Sometimes I call her Principessa Stefania. She is trying to command everyone by using her sweetness as well as her feistiness very skillfully. She spends a lot of time cleaning her feathers, so she always looks perfectly beautiful. Prejudging me would never have expected such a princess to be smart, but Steffi taught me totally wrong. She is incredibly smart and incredibly eager to learn. Steffi's learning math, animals, colors, and names of people she met. And I can assure you she has no difficulty at all with memorizing the stuff I teach her. In most cases, she remembers a new word, a new number, or whatever new thing it is I mentioned to her after I said it just once or twice. She's very much into animals, especially birds. Soon I will start teaching her the species and subspecies of Amazon parrots, and I wonder whether she could memorize all of them. For more detailed information on such training, I would kindly refer you to professionals who do a brilliant job in teaching people how to teach their birds via different methods. Jennifer Cunha, for example, has developed amazing concepts regarding teaching parrots how to read books, how to use touchscreens, how to count, and to calculate. Hildegard Niemann is another excellent parrot trainer. So, if you want to teach your parrot such cool stuff, I would invite you to contact such experts. Okay, let's come back to Steffi. Steffi also loves to sing along with the radio and whenever anyone whistles. She imitates human language and any other sounds she can pick up. She would do everything to be the center of attention. Here you can hear my lovely Princess Steffi performing. She's improvising on her favorite song, a German children's song, which is called All the Birds Are Already There. After spending 1 year with Steffi, I got the chance to adopt the second bird, Dani. I raised him with a syringe from the day he hatched because his biological parents had rejected him. Nope, baby parrots are not exactly beautiful. However, from so ugly the beginnings, adorableness and beauty arise eventually. Dani loves Steffi and me very much. He can be very protective, but in general, he is a very friendly, easygoing bird. Much in contrast to Steffi, he is quite lazy in terms of learning new things. What he likes most is just relax, hang around, play, eat, watch Steffi and me, and cuddle. It's very unfortunate for him that Steffi loves to learn new things and keeps on learning. So, to attract a bit of Steffi's and my attention, he has no choice but to sometimes learn some things too. I never force him to join any learning sessions. He's free to do whatever he wants. If he prefers doing other things instead, I am fine with that. Usually, he sits on my shoulder during Steffi's learning sessions. Recently, I realized that he developed quite an interest in math. So far, I had never been successful in teaching him math. He just wouldn't listen to such boring stuff anyways. But just by sitting on my shoulder and watching Steffi learning math, he must have captured the numbers from 1 to 9. I realized that when he suddenly started to interrupt Steffi's learning sessions a couple of months ago and demonstrated that he knew the numbers as well. And to my big surprise, since then he regularly joins Steffi's learning sessions, however, only when she's doing math. When the math parts are over, he returns to my shoulder or flies away. So I started explaining math to him too, and it turns out that his interest increases more and more. About 5 months ago, I adopted 2 more parrots, Pippi and Jenny. They have a very different background. As Steffi's and Dani's upbringings were quite artificial, Pippi and Jenny have lived among fellow species members for several months early in their lives. As a result, Pippi and Jenny were familiar with the company of other parrots, communicated and behaved probably more naturally, whereas Steffi and Dani were dependent on me and other humans. Before the arrival of Pippi and Jenny, I had redesigned every detail in Steffi's and Dani's room, so Steffi and Dani wouldn't have much of a home field advantage. Then I introduced all 4 birds to their new shared home at the same time. Still, I was very nervous. I was just hoping that they would be okay with each other and that everything would go well. Interestingly, Dani instantly made clear that he was the boss. He did so by showing off, by pretending to be much bigger than he truly is. I was so surprised, as he had never shown such a bossy behavior before. For the next couple of days, Pippi and Jenny, as well as Steffi and Dani, spent a lot of time, mostly staring at each other. The 2 other parties were different in so many aspects. Not only was there not much basis for communication, other than body language, Pippi and Jenny were used to much rougher tone. Playing survival of the fittest. Might is right. Here you will see Pippi and Jenny playing in a rough manner. It seems rough, but 1 minute later they can be very friendly and cuddly again. They had never spent much time with human beings and perceived me probably as something like the Beast from the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast, who was engaging with two strangely behaving, in their view probably dysfunctional parrots in the weirdest show they probably ever watched. Also, Pippi and Jenny had moved from an outside aviary into a human house, so they must have gone through a huge cultural shock, but still they always had each other. Pippi's very open and outgoing. She started exploring her new environment within just a couple of minutes upon arrival, but she skipped interacting with Steffi and Dani at first. Jenny kept following Pippi closely, but she was much less comfortable than Pippi. During the first couple of days, Steffi and Dani complained a lot, were very demanding and stick to my shoulders. They probably weren't happy about the new fellow arrivals. Approaching Steffi and Dani seemed like quite a challenge for Pippi and Jenny, not to mention that Steffi and Dani showed no interest at all in interacting with Pippi and Jenny. So during the first couple of days, Pippi and Jenny were mostly just watching Steffi and Dani and how they were interacting with me, the Beast. After some time, though, they must have concluded that interacting with me should be safe, and as a result they approached me closer and closer. Pippi kept on pushing forward, Jenny followed. Steffi and Dani often left or totally relied on me, probably hoping I would settle things for them, which I often did because I want every member of my group to be as happy as possible. I carried them around, cuddled them more often than usual, and so on, hoping that wouldn't spoil them too much. Some weeks later, Steffi and Dani still didn't like being closely with Pippi and Jenny, while Jenny and Pippi got more and more interested in Steffi and Dani. I can't tell why that was. Probably Steffi and Dani found other parrots much more difficult to interact with than human beings. Maybe they simply wanted to stay away from the strangers, so they wouldn't have to share me with them. This pattern is continuing up to this day. However, with weeks and months passing by, Steffi and Dani accepted Pippi and Jenny more and more. After 4 months, they still have their issues, but things are much more relaxed now. Pippi and Jenny are sometimes interested in training too, but they insist on always working together. As they are just 1 year old and just began their learning journey, they are still learning the basics. For now, I'm so happy about how well bringing together the 4 parrots worked out. There never was any true aggressive behavior. Despite Steffi's and Dani's continued demonstrative disinterest in Pippi and Jenny, all 4 of them start mingling more and more. After setting the stage and explaining my parrots' backgrounds, we will start exploring how and what they communicate in the next video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.